Chapter 1. The Man with the Mop. The corridor outside Reactor Ring C never truly slept. It breathed low, constant, a bone-deep hum that vibrated through metal grating and into the soles of worn boots. Ion conduits glowed a sickly blue behind transparent alloy walls, pulsing in time with the station's heart. Most beings hurried through this place. Only one lingered. Elias Ward pushed his mop along the floor in slow, careful strokes, guiding the cleansing foam into hairline seams where coolant residue liked to hide. The mop's handle was dented, patched with tape, just like everything else he owned. Overhead, an alien engineer drifted past on a grav harness, clicking irritably into a wrist comm. "Human," the alien muttered without slowing. "You're in the way." Elias stepped aside, offering a nod that went unnoticed. He waited until the engineer vanished around the curve of the ring before returning to his work. The floor shivered beneath him. Not much, just a whisper. He paused, brow furrowing, palm flattening against the metal. Too fast, he thought. The vibration wasn't loud, it was wrong. He straightened and glanced at the reactor through the viewport. The plasma core burned white-hot, elegant and terrifying, magnetic fields shimmering like heat haze. The readouts above it glowed green across the board. Perfect. Alien perfect. Elias exhaled through his nose. Back on Earth before the evacuation ships, before his wife's last message cut to static, a fusion tech had taught him something simple. Machines lied. Floors didn't. His wrist pad chimed softly. Reminder. He thumbed it open and a hollow bloomed. His daughter's face, recorded earlier that cycle. Messy hair. Missing tooth. Grinning like the universe hadn't taken everything from her already. "Night-night, bug," he whispered, tucking the pad away. The air shifted. A sharp, metallic tang cut through the antiseptic scent. Ozone, faint but growing. Elias's jaw tightened. He pushed the mop faster now, water sloshing softly, eyes tracking the subtle tremor rippling through the corridor walls. A pair of station security drones hovered past, optics glowing amber. One paused, scanning him. Unauthorized loitering detected. It droned. "I clean here," Elias said, lifting the mop slightly. His voice was calm. Humans were good at calm when panic wouldn't help. The drone lingered a second longer, then drifted on. Elias crouched, pressing his ear to the deck. The hum had a stutter now, like a skipped heartbeat. Somewhere deep in the station, something was building pressure with nowhere to go. "Yeah," he murmured to the reactor. "I hear you." Around him, the station glittered. Alien cities in miniature beyond the viewport, neon towers and rotating habitats spinning serenely against the stars. Life went on unaware. Elias dipped the mop again, but his eyes never left the trembling floor. If he was wrong, no one would notice. If he was right, he didn't finish the thought. He just kept cleaning, listening, and waiting because that was what humans did best when no one was watching. Chapter 2. Static in the walls. The first light flicker passed unnoticed. On Kepri Station, lights flickered all the time. Minor fluctuations from a million power draws layered atop one another. Alien species with compound eyes or bioluminescent skin barely registered it. Elias did. He paused mid-swipe, the mop hovering an inch above the deck, and watched the glow strips along the corridor gutter and stabilize. The hum beneath his boots changed pitch. Not louder, tighter. He resumed cleaning, slower now, counting steps the way he used to count breaths when panic tried to claw its way up his throat. 1, 2, 3. The deck plating vibrated unevenly, like a drum stretched too far. Elias glanced at the bulkhead, at the thin condensation lines creeping along the seams. Static prickled across his forearms. Behind him, the corridor filled with sound, clicking mandibles, wet consonants, the hiss-pop of translated speech. A trio of senior engineers clustered near a diagnostic pillar, their chitinous limbs tapping rapidly as holograms bloomed and collapsed. "Impossible," one snapped, frills flaring. "The harmonic regulators are flawless." "The data agrees," another said. "Green across all spectrums." Elias's mop squeaked as he wrung it out. The sound earned him a glance, brief, dismissive. "Human," the lead engineer said, translator flattening the contempt into politeness. "This sector will be closed shortly. Remove yourself." Elias nodded again. He always nodded. But instead of leaving, he shifted to the opposite side of the corridor and crouched, fingers brushing the deck. The vibration jittered under his skin, irregular now, like static crawling through walls. He remembered another hum, older, deeper. Site. A fusion plant half a lifetime ago. Everyone else had trusted the instruments. Elias had trusted the noise in his teeth. Above, the marketplace ring rotated into view through a viewport. Stalls glowing in saturated neon, alien flora curling under artificial suns, the air thick with spice, pollen, and unfamiliar life. Gravity hiccuped, just a fraction, and a vendor cursed as wares floated before snapping back down. Elias stood. "Hey," he said quietly at first. No one listened. He raised his voice. "You've got a feedback loop forming in the outer coolant lattice." The engineers froze. Slowly they turned. The lead one laughed, a sharp, rattling sound. "You clean waste channels." "I clean floors," Elias corrected. "And floors feel things before sensors do." Mockery rippled through the group. One engineer waved a claw. "Return to your duties." Elias swallowed. He reached into his supply cart and pulled out a stub of chalk, kneeling to sketch quick marks along the wall. Timing beats, vibration nodes, pressure spikes mapped from instinct and experience. The static in the air made the chalk tremble in his fingers. The lights flickered again. Longer this time. An alarm chirped, soft, uncertain. Elias straightened, heart pounding. "That's your warning," he said, more to the station than to them. The hum dropped half a note. Somewhere deep in the walls, something answered back. Chapter 3, 30 Seconds to Meltdown. The alarm didn't scream at first. It hesitated, stuttered, like the station itself couldn't believe what it was about to admit. Then Kepri Station howled. Red light flooded Reactor Ring C, washing the polished alloy corridors in emergency crimson. Gravity lurched hard enough to knock an engineer into a bulkhead, their chitin cracking against metal. Elias staggered, caught himself on his cart, and felt the deck surge beneath his boots like a living thing in pain. "Containment variance detected," the station intoned, voice suddenly stripped of calm authority. "Core instability escalating." The engineers froze. Not because they didn't know what to do, but because they knew too many things to do. Protocols stacked on protocols. Permissions waiting on permissions. Their holograms multiplied, overlapping in frantic clouds of data, all glowing red now. Elias didn't look at the readouts. He listened. The hum had become a roar, deep and uneven, rattling his ribs. Heat bled through the floor, biting through his boots. Ozone burned his throat. 30 seconds, he muttered. No one heard him. Or maybe they did and didn't understand. He dropped the mop. The handle clattered across the deck as Elias sprinted toward the maintenance hatch. A narrow oval most species ignored. Too small, too manual. A security drone swung toward him. Unauthorized. Elias slammed his palm into the emergency release. The hatch blew open, venting a burst of superheated air that peeled paint from the walls. He dove inside just as gravity cut out entirely. Weightlessness swallowed him. Tools, bolts, and a loose engineer floated screaming past as the reactor chamber opened up, a cathedral of light and fury. The plasma core writhed at its center, magnetic fields flaring unevenly, screaming strain. Manual control panels lined the chamber's rim, dark and untouched, relics from an age when engineers used hands instead of committees. Elias grabbed a handhold, skin blistering instantly against overheated metal. He hissed but didn't let go. His other hand flew across switches, fingers moving from memory older than grief. Vent tertiary plasma, he breathed. Reroute auxiliary flow. Kill auto-regulation. A warning siren shrieked, then cut dead as he yanked a physical breaker free. The core surged, furious, light flaring white-hot. Chamber shook. Elias twisted, kicked off a strut, and slammed a valve wheel shut with both hands. Pain exploded up his arms. He screamed once, then gritted his teeth and turned harder. The vibration changed. Not gone. Controlled. Coolant flooded the outer lattice, venting excess plasma into the spillway. The core's light dimmed from blinding white to steady gold. Gravity snapped back on. Elias hit the deck hard, air torn from his lungs. Silence followed. Impossible. Green. Status lights blinked alive across the chamber. Systems stabilized. The station exhaled. Engineers stared through the viewport, mandibles slack, frills limp. Security drones hovered, motionless. Elias lay on his back, staring up at the ceiling, hands burned, chest heaving. His wrist pad chimed softly, an old reminder alarm he'd forgotten to turn off. Bedtime. He laughed once, weak and breathless, as the reactor hummed steady beneath him, finally telling the truth. Chapter 4. A human problem solver. Elias woke to white light and the steady beep of a medical monitor that wasn't built for humans. The medbay smelled wrong. Too clean, tinged with antiseptic sharp enough to sting his sinuses. Translucent alien medtechs drifted around him on grav discs, their limbs moving with careful precision as gel stitched burned skin back together. His hands throbbed, wrapped in smart fiber bandages that pulsed faint blue with each heartbeat. "Do not move," one of them said, voice filtered through a translator that lagged half a second behind its mandibles. "Your species exhibits inefficient pain tolerance." Elias snorted and immediately regretted it. Pain flared bright, then settled into a dull roar. "You should see us when we lose tolerance," he muttered. A shadow fell across his bed. Station Security Chief Trassic stood there, chitin polished to ceremonial sheen, eyes like polished obsidian reflecting Elias back at himself. Small, fragile-looking human. "You violated 7 emergency protocols," Trassic said calmly. "You disabled automated systems. You endangered." "Everyone lived," Elias said, pushing himself upright despite the medtech's protests. His burned hands trembled, but he kept them visible. "Because your systems froze when the situation didn't match their expectations." A hush fell over the bay. A second figure stepped forward. A xenobiologist named Helen, her bioluminescent markings dimmed in thought rather than fear. "The sensor logs," she said softly, "show he acted before critical thresholds were reached. Before alarms." Trassic's gaze sharpened. "Explain." Elias exhaled, eyes drifting to the viewport beyond the medbay. Kepri Station rotated serenely now, stars wheeling like nothing had almost ended. "I didn't read numbers," he said. "I listened. Felt the vibration. Smelled the ozone. Machines fail politely until they don't. People notice the in-between." The silence stretched, not hostile now but uncertain. "Your kind relies on intuition over data," Celine said. "No," Elias replied. "We use both. Data tells us what should happen. Experience tells us when it won't." Trassic clicked slowly, a sound Elias recognized as reluctant respect. "Our engineering caste is trained to avoid improvisation." "Humans train for failure," Elias said. "Because it happens." Later, after the interrogations softened into conversations, Hélène returned alone. She handed him a small comm chip. "A message," she said. "From your offspring." The station network recovered it. Elias's fingers closed around the chip like it was fragile glass. He didn't trust his voice, just nodded. As she turned to leave, she paused. "You saved over 3 million lives today," she said. "Yet you ask for nothing." He looked at her then, really looked, at the gentle glow of her markings, the curiosity instead of judgment. "I already have everything I need," he said quietly. Outside, the reactor hummed. Steady, honest. And for the first time since he'd arrived on Kepri Station, Elias felt something shift. Not fear. Chapter 5. What humans leave behind. Kepri Station changed quietly. not with banners or announcements, but with subtle recalibrations that spread like a second nervous system through its vast body. Manual access panels were unsealed and relabeled. Emergency drills were rewritten to include something the alien languages struggled to translate: adaptive response. The reactor's hum settled into a deeper, steadier register, one Elias felt even before the sensors learned to trust it. He watched it all from the corridor outside Reactor Ring C, mop in hand. The floor gleamed now. New alloy plating, smoother than before, carried vibrations cleanly, honest. Elias pushed the mop forward, listening through his boots. The station felt calmer. Not safer. Calmer was better. Footsteps approached. Multiple sets. He didn't look up right away. "Elias Ward," said Trasik's voice. Formal. Public. Elias sighed inwardly and leaned on the mop handle before turning. The security chief stood flanked by Elen and two administrators draped in flowing robes of status color. A small crowd lingered farther back. Engineers, technicians, beings who had once stepped around him without seeing. "You are offered station citizenship," Trasik said. "Residential priority. Engineering rank. Compensation exceeding." "I clean at night," Elias interrupted gently. "My kid wakes early." A ripple of confusion passed through the group. Flynn stepped closer. "You could have influence," she said. "Change systems. Shape policy." Elias glanced through the viewport at the stars sliding past. Endless, cold, beautiful. He thought of bedtime messages and scraped knees. Of a universe that didn't slow down just because you loved something fragile. "I already changed what needed changing," he said. He met Trasik's gaze. "I want safety guarantees for dependents, access to education, and a clause. When alarms hesitate, humans are allowed to act." Silence followed. Then, slowly, Trasik inclined his head. "Agreed." The administrators recorded it. History written without realizing it. Later, alone, Elias finished his shift. As he stowed the cart, Len lingered nearby. Her bioluminescence soft, curious. "You will remain unnoticed?" she asked. Elias smiled, small and tired. "People notice when it matters." His wrist pad chimed. He crouched, recording another message. "Hey Bug. Guess what? I fixed something big today. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow." He sent it and stood. As Elias walked away, the station adjusted. Micro delays added, manual overrides unlocked, protocols bent just enough to breathe. Somewhere in the system logs, a new designation appeared beside emergency response doctrine. Human-initiated intervention. Authorized. The mop squeaked softly as he turned the corner, disappearing into the vast living machine. And Kepri Station remembered what humans always left behind. Not monuments or fear, but the quiet assurance that when everything went wrong, someone would still act. The viewport stretched from floor to ceiling, a slow arc of glass and force field overlooking the star-drowned void. Kepri Station drifted in silence now, engines humming in a steady, honest rhythm. No stutter, no lie. Beyond it, alien constellations burned in unfamiliar patterns, sharp and bright, as if the universe itself had rearranged to mark a quiet victory. Elias stood with his hands resting on the railing, bandages gone, scars new and pink against his skin. Artificial gravity pulsed gently beneath his boots. Familiar. Reliable. Beside him, Ellen watched the stars, her bioluminescent markings glowing soft gold instead of analytical blue. Around them, the station murmured. Distant alien voices, a lift chiming somewhere far below, life continuing because it had been allowed to. "They rewrote the emergency charter today," she said. "Human response doctrine is now mandatory across 3 sectors." Elias huffed a quiet laugh. "Guess floors finally got a vote." She turned toward him then, closer than before. "You could leave," she said. "Other stations. Other worlds would fight for you." He didn't look away from the stars. "My kid likes this sky," he replied. "And I like knowing when something breaks. I'm close enough to hear it." Helen hesitated, then reached out, her hand brushing his, tentative, uncertain in the way only brave people were. He didn't pull away. "You don't just fix machines," she said softly. "You stay." Elias finally met her eyes. "Someone has to." Below them the reactor thrummed. Steady, alive, listening. The same corridor where a man with a mop had once been invisible now carried his footsteps into the future. As the station drifted onward, humanity left behind what it always did best. Not conquest, not perfection, but presence. And when the universe faltered, it would remember who stayed.